Let me get, do you have the agenda? Do we want to go ahead and call the meeting to order, or have you guys already done that? Sorry.
No, we haven't done that. So let's go ahead and call the June Recreation and Parks meeting to order. And
Okay, I'll go ahead and do the governor's order. So due to the governor's order, all members of the Recreation and Parks Commission are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until they are asked to be heard. At that time, they can be unmuted and state their vote. And today's meeting is a public meeting per the notice. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contact the city manager's office or if they make necessary arrangements. If not, the meeting will be streamed on the city's YouTube channel and can be accessed after next Tuesday. So we'll go ahead and do roll. John Gunkel, you're here. You're on mute. John Gunkel, there you
I'm
go.
here.
Yeah. Okay. Sean Hawkins. Okay. Taylor Ansley is not with us today. He is traveling. John France. Okay, it looks like he's not here either. Bob Hartwell.
Here.
Okay. George Peterson.
Present.
Okay. Mashika Jefferson.
Present.
Okay. And Joe Cassidy.
Here.
Okay, so it looks like we just need one more person to make quorum. Maybe somebody will join in as we move on. But for now, we can go ahead and get into the business and then just not vote and see if somebody shows up.
Okay, so Lee, are you going to do that?
Yep. We're going to swap places. I'm going to go see if I can get my stuff to work.
Sorry about that, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us as we are shifting around. Felicia's going to go to her office, but I have control of the screen right now, so we can do this. So everybody received the agenda. Today, I'm going to discuss it. This was brought up in commission meeting a couple months ago, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail about it. Hopefully, we'll get another commission member on so we can vote for the acceptance of the property, the Jackie Jean Hauser heirs and Piedmont Land Conservatory parcel. It is to go to council on June 13th, which would be Monday. Can everybody see this? Great.
Yes.
So we brought it up a little while or a couple months ago, and we are being offered a donation of 24.571 acres of land on Jonestown Road for development of a park. Part of it, a larger 88-acre tract, which is known as the Evergreen Farm, and was listed in 2019 in the National Registry of Historical Places. The purpose of this park would be to be developed for wildlife viewing, nature photography, picnicking, walking, running, jogging, bird watching, horseback riding, and historical and archaeological exploration. So hopefully we will have another count. We're good. So I believe we have quorum now. So as soon as Felicia hops back on, we will take a vote to approve this. Are there any questions?
Yes. Bob Hartwell, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. You want my question?
Yes.
I'm having a little problem, as I explained, I think to Felicia the other day, with voting on something like this with a conservation easement. It doesn't even appear to have been drafted yet. I've had a lot of experience with easements, and they often tell you what you cannot do. Sometimes they tell you what you can do. And I haven't seen this one, and this has been hanging out here now for months. And I'm surprised that we don't have a proposed, or at least a proposed easement. And I'm really troubled by that. I'm voting on something I don't have the most important document for. So my question, I guess, is why are we doing this without that? And by the way, where is it?
I believe that Felicia was looking for it. We just don't have it yet. It hasn't been sent to us.
Okay, well, that's a problem. I mean, I don't think we should be voting on this without that. I'm all for the conservation. It's been a lot of my own experience, but this, I'm just not used to getting into one of these things without the key document. All you have to do is look at the easements on Long Creek, and you'll see how it's complex, and it says this goes and this doesn't. It may vary from one part of the property to the other, as it does at Long Creek. There's at least 3 entities over there that are involved. I don't know how many are involved in this one. I know Piedmont Land Conservancy is, maybe somebody else is too, but I'm not really am troubled by that. That's a key document to doing this whole, this deal doesn't happen without that document.
I understand. I think the main, and as soon as we get that information, we'll make sure that we provide it to everybody. But the main area that we're focusing on, I believe the donation is the 88-acre tract that would be slated for the passive recreation activities.
So it's for the 88 acres. Is that how much land here altogether?
So let me go back to the card so you can see it.
Yeah, Leah, in the description, it says the vast majority of the property to be donated is a portion of the larger 88 tract. It
Right.
sounds like it's a little bit smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
The actual amount of land being donated is 24.571 acres of land.
Is
That's the
that,
actual size. And a condition of the park being donated is that it's going to be used for recreational activities and wildlife viewing, nature photography, picnicking, walking, running, jogging, bird watching, horseback riding, historical and archaeological exploration, etc. So those are some of the conditions that are required in order for us to have the land donated.
is the easement we're talking about apply to the 24.571 acres only?
I'm not sure. Like Leah said, we could get that information and bring that back. But I do know that council has already reviewed, as well as the city's real estate department, and they're behind this. But I also see your point too. You would like to see the easement. But I mean, so far, according to other city departments, there were no issues with the easement.
So the easement exists.
I have not seen it. So I don't know if it's something that's going to be drafted later on. I'm not sure.
Is there anything keeping us from continuing this until another meeting, even if it's a special Zoom meeting that happens, I don't know, a month from now or whatever it takes to get the easement to us? I know there's no July meeting, but that doesn't stop us from having a special meeting. I mean, nobody at our end of this has seen this. And I take exception to that. I see everybody's, all the departments, everything's all nice and happy, but nobody in this meeting so far appears to even know for sure if it exists.
Hey, Felicia, are we under a constraint here to approve this, or can we, wait till we see the easement?
No, I believe that any item can be tabled for further discussion. I
Does
mean,
that require a motion.
And this is Chica, so I guess I'd just like to say, speaking for myself, I don't have any issues with voting on it today, but if the committee decides to do that, then that's fine. But I'm okay with the city's other committees approving this venture. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm good. But if we're going to table it, then that's fine.
If we table it, is it still going to go to city council Monday?
It'll probably be pulled, potentially.
Leah, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
I just spoke with William. He is logging on. He said if you all will give him 3 to 5 minutes. He was out. He had some medical conditions this morning, but he is logging on and he will be able to address your issues and your questions.
Thank you, Renata.
You're welcome.
So we can hold off for about 5 to 10 minutes. As soon as William gets on, we have those listed questions, and we're gonna bring those to his attention when he gets on.
Yeah, we could go on to some of the other updates till he gets on.
We still need to approve last meeting's minutes.
Yes. We can go ahead and do that if you guys would like.
So do we have a motion to approve the May minutes?
So moved. Joe,
Thank you. Can we get a second?
George, I'll second.
Thank you. And we have to do a roll call vote for those all in favor. John Gunkel.
Approve.
Okay, Sean Hawkins, did he join? No. Okay. Taylor Ansley isn't here. John France. No. Okay. Bob Hartwell.
I abstain, I wasn't present.
Okay. George Peterson.
Approved.
Thank you. Mashika Jefferson.
Approve.
Okay, and Joe Cassidy.
approve.
Okay. All right, minutes are approved.
So just as a reminder, there will be no meeting in July. So everybody enjoy your summer and that Tuesday off. And we'll jump down to departmental updates until William hops on, and we'll shift it to him when he gets on. I am going to skip myself and welcome Greg James. He has been out for a while on leave, and so this is his first time back in a little bit. So I'm gonna let him take over and give us some of the updates for special use facilities.
Hey, excuse me, Leah. Thank you, Leah. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, William, go on.
Oh, is William back on here?
Yeah, I heard his voice.
Yes, listen, I apologize for not being there. I had surgery this morning. So I understand that there may be some questions about the property on Jonestown Road from Hauser heirs donating that to the city. An easement. Only request that Jack Hauser had with the property donation was that the property would not be developed for active recreational use, which includes activities like softball, baseball, basketball, playgrounds. He wanted it to remain a more passive area. And so there aren't any easements on the property other than the easements to the south that the state bought as part of the Beltway expansion on that end. But DOT has purchased all of that property. Outside of that, there are no restrictions on the property. We have no intentions nor funding to build anything new at the park. There are a couple of historic structures on the property that just need to be kind of shored up a little bit. That's not going to require a substantial amount of funding. And if it did, we would have the funding as long as the city council approves our budget and at the latter part of this month to make any repairs that are needed there due to deferred maintenance of the buildings. But other than that, I presented this item to the commission, I believe a couple of months ago, knowing that we're going to have the property surveyed so that we can get an accurate count on exactly how many acres we will be receiving. Felicia, can you pull that map? the map of that area up. And I believe the total acres that we will be receiving is somewhere around 24 acres that will be preserved as open space for use for non-active recreational purposes. The large barn that's there, we were thinking about possibly using that as a possible outdoor wedding venue. It's a really, really nice barn, really, really rustic. It's a beautiful piece of property. And so I know I joined the meeting after you guys had gone over this item, but I'm able to answer any questions you may have.
Well, this started out with me, it's Bob. I'm still not sure I understand where the conservation easement is.
There isn't an easement. There is no easement on this property.
Well, it says granting of a conservation easement to the Piedmont Land Conservancy, Southwest Ward. That's what's in the agenda.
It's not a conservation. There are restrictions that typically when we get land like this, we work with the Piedmont Land Conservancy. We worked with what's the other group? The Conservation Fund. There's not an easement per se on the property like there is at Long Creek. The only reason why we're working with them is to kind of ensure with the family and for future generations that the land is not used for active recreational purposes. And we've given them a list of what those things, a list of possible active recreational types of activities are, such as basketball, soccer, running, like track and fields. Like the land is going to be just preserved as it is. There are some walking trails through the park where people can come out and walk and maybe run if they wanted to, but outside of that, there won't be any large parking lots for soccer fields or basketball courts, so on and so forth. They're at the property.
How is all that assured in such a way that if it's verbal, it's bad news?
No, it's all done in writing, but those are the stipulations and the restrictions. The only ones that they requested, that the family requested, was that there was no active recreation, and that's what we've agreed to. Okay,
so what's going to be recorded in the land records?
It's going to be the restrictions on the land use in terms of that it can't be used for active recreation, and that it will be being deeded over to the city as a park.
And who signs off on that for what is the? I tell you, based on my own experience with these easements, I'm a little nervous about this one because it's not an easement.
No,
you got to have something tightened up. Someday, some other administration is going to come along and doesn't think the way we do, and it's going to rough times looking for money. And that one of the first things they'll look to is, can they unload land with questionable restrictions? I mean, this has happened on occasion in the past when towns get into a bind or whatever it is, but it really needs to be very clear that it's restricted as in an easement. And I don't. You talk about granting of a conservation easement right here in the minutes, which is what should happen. Then I asked whether there was an easement. Turns out there isn't. And how is this property really protected? I mean, really seriously protected and free of all the litigation that's going to come along if it's not absolutely clear, which it would be in an easement.
The way that is handled is through the actual agreement with the Piedmont Land Conservancy. It is written, and I'm sure that has happened in other municipalities. But in order for something like that to happen here in the city of Winston-Salem, it has to go through 3 public hearing processes. It is very, 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 very difficult, especially without the approval of the Recreation and Parks Commission and City Council, to give away park land for any other use than open public land. So that would not be the case in this particular situation. They go back through our minutes. They go back and look at the actual easement as it's been as it's been signed and recorded. And they use that as the basis to make future determinations. But if this property was donated to the city with intentions that it was going from the Hauser family, with intentions that it was going to be preserved for open recreational space, it will be treated just like land that we use, that land that we develop using state and federal grant money. It's going to be very, very, very difficult. And I can't remember a time other than one time earlier on back in 2006, 2007, where we actually swapped some land with a developer. We were able to help build a greenway, and we were able to come out on the better end of that stick because we were able to get more land in the trade than what we gave up. But other than that, we don't relinquish park land hardly ever.
I'm still confused about where the documentation is that makes this stick in the land records. I haven't seen that. Let me explain something, if you don't mind. 3 hearings, 4 hearings, however many there are, we're not dealing with this on June 7th. This project has been here for quite some time now. And this is a serious matter. I don't care how many hearings there have been and how many cheers there are. Nobody wants to conserve land more than I do. But if this is all done and we're all gone someday, and there's a big dispute about it, it's because it has a document that a court might say was insufficient because there could have been a conservation easement. That would seem to me to be a problem. I'm trying to figure out how to get past the absence of the conservation easement, and that's a problem.
It's not an easement through the property. The entire property is going to be handled in that way. Once city council, once the Recreation and Parks Commission, and what city council approves the stipulations on how the property is to be acquired, then our city attorney's office and their attorney get that legal language prepared and put together to meet the commission's and city council's wishes. And so that happens during closing of the property, but we can't even move forward with closing of the property without city council approval and Recreation Commission approval. But that part of the process hasn't been handled yet because this is one of the steps in that process. The other steps happen after this, and it is recorded. It's all going to be recorded as part of the closing of the property.
Excuse me, are we going to see all of that before they do it?
I can send it to you, but it's
William, please, that's not my question. My question is, are we going to see it and have a chance to look at it and be sure we're satisfied? I haven't seen anything. All I have here is an agenda.
I could send it to you. I can send it to the recreation. I can send it to the commission to allow you to look at it. But if you wanted to approve those stipulations, it will probably end up delaying this purchase.
You know something? Let me tell you something. If you don't mind, you can tell I don't like this very much, but we can approve or disapprove. That should have come up 6 weeks ago.
I did. I brought it to the commission as an informational item.
Okay, now we're being asked to approve it, and we still don't have the documents that should have gone with that information. That's my problem.
But the type of documentation that you're requesting has never been presented to the commission at this point of a property acquisition.
When is it presented to the commission for action?
It gets presented to the commission with the idea that we will not develop playgrounds, soccer fields.
No.
Basketball.
That's not my question. When is the legal document that's proposed to be going into the land records presented to the commission?
We have never presented that before. What I was saying is, if you would like to see it, I could bring it back to the commission and have you look at it. I don't have a problem doing so, but it would have to be we can either have it emailed out to you, so that you can see it outside of one of our regularly scheduled meetings, or if it was closer to one of our regularly scheduled meetings, we could discuss it then.
I think we ought to do something like that. There's no rule against having a special meeting. I don't know when it is, in July or whatever, just for this purpose.
Typically, William, if I may, typically in the past, the Recreation Parks Commission has just been an advisory capacity. And most of the land deals have been handled by real estate and the city attorney's office. So that's why nothing like this has ever been brought to the commission.
Yeah, we don't prepare those, that legal part of the closing of the property where our attorneys get involved and their attorneys get involved. We get to, once those documents are drafted, they will forward them to me for review. What's in front of the commission today is to move forward with the property acquisition, given and recognizing the Hauser's family's wishes that that piece of property isn't developed for soccer fields, basketball courts, playgrounds, splash pads. They don't want that kind of recreational opportunities there.
I think I've made my position pretty clear. I can't support this with this. And I know what the Hausers want. They're not the problem. So I think in a sense, we're the problem, but all of us. But I mean, I'd like us to consider, and if the commission decides they don't like what I want to suggest, that's fine. But I think we should have these documents forwarded to us for our review and meet in a special meeting to ask any questions we have about them. Raise those issues before something comes up later.
Well, why don't we have a motion to approve and everybody, let's see where we're at on this.
Okay.
Before we go to a vote, can we continue discussion?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. William, I got a couple questions. How many parks and acres has the park system expanded in the last 3 years?
I can get back to you with that exact number. Over the past 3 years, it hasn't been too much. Over the past 5 years, we've added that's when Long Creek was the biggest one. Yeah. We've added some smaller parcels and some smaller chunks of land that were adjacent to existing property that we've acquired, but we can get a list for you dating back like the past 5 years.
And how much has the Parks Department's budget grown in that period?
I can get that exact number for you as well, but our budget actually has increased. Our budget has actually increased over that same time frame. We receive additional operating dollars to handle additional issues in terms of staffing levels. We've received additional funding, operating dollars for supplies and contractual services. And our budget is going to go up again this year because one of the things that's on the table is for us to receive another park maintenance crew. And so we'll be part of what's on the table this year is for us to get additional maintenance staff to assist with the expansion. It's not only us, but also vegetation management to assist with the expanding open space that we're providing to the public. But we can get those exact numbers to you.
Okay.
Hey,
I'm going to abstain from this vote without that information. And if we get few requests in the future to add parks or acreage, if we don't have the information, I'm going to vote against. My concern is that it appears we keep expanding the park system, and I'm not sure that the resources that the city is allocating to parks is sufficient to be able to sustain that growth. Without sufficient resources, that it means our park system will continue into deterioration.
Can I ask one more question, John?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Given what we've just heard from a couple of us, what is the proper process right now? And normally, in my experience, somebody would probably make a motion to do something with this project that would allow us to see what it is we're looking for. And I agree with Joe about the other issue. There's another problem here, but we've got so much property now, we're not going to keep up with it, but at least I don't think we are. Is it proper for me to make a motion that we continue this to a date certain, hopefully, not very far away, so that we can take a look at the easement and express our opinion about it and let it go at that point, and whatever attendant discussion is necessary? So I guess it's a process question right now.
Yeah.
This is my I mean, I would follow, we would express the wishes of the commission to city council and the city manager's office. I support this land donation, this land acquisition from the Hauser family. It's a process that started over 15 years ago, over 10 years ago, excuse me. I know that we've added 160 acres at Long Creek, where we've also requested money, received actual limited obligation bond money to begin the development of some improvements at that facility. But adding outside of the 1/10 of an acre here and 1/4 of an acre there on land that my staff, me and my staff don't maintain. It's being mowed, but we don't do mowing in our park system. The addition of these 24 acres, there will not be any new built structures on this property. It's just a matter of vegetation management, going out there and keeping the grass mown. It would be our hopes. There's part of the property that we're acquiring, part of this 24 acres includes a house. There is a family living in that house right now, and we're working with that family to allow them to either stay there, and they just pay the city rent as opposed to paying the family, or if they decided to move, or when they decided to move, it will be, my first recommendation is to provide a low rental house for a police officer to have a constant presence out there on the site. But in terms of what it costs us to maintain this additional 24 acres, it's minimal, if any at all. We do have standards architecturally and structurally in terms of how we want those facilities and structures to look, in terms of safety and how they're to function based on safety. But our budget is, I can get you the exact numbers, but our budget start off, I think when I started, was around $10.5 million, with the majority of that in personnel costs. After this July 1, if city council passes the budget the way that it is, it's going to be upwards of $15 million, with additional staff that we get to decide how that staff is going to be allocated. I would like to inform the chair and the rest of the commission that I would take the commissioner's recommendation, change the Carfin resolution. I know that Councilmember Mundy supports this type of acquisition with the restrictions on it. It's not even as strict as land that we use PARTEF money or LWCF money to develop. They just don't want it to turn into a bunch of baseball fields. And that's what we've assured them. This is it's not a complicated acquisition. I do understand your concerns and I respect those, but we've done this numerous times before. The only thing that, if we didn't agree to the family's wishes or their concerns about how the property would be developed, we wouldn't be accepting it in the first place. I do support this. I think that it makes a lot of sense. Me being the director for Recreation Parks understand how the impact of additional land into our park system, how that impacts our maintenance staff how it affects our Winston-Salem PD and our park rangers, how it affects all of our partners that we rely on to help provide services for us. I know the city has planned to, and they've listened for, city council has listened for the first time in a long time, that we can't keep adding land without getting additional staff. We need some help, and we need additional funding to maintain those things. And so from an operational standpoint, this piece of property is not going to cost us any more money to maintain than what we're spending right now. Because this is not going to come out of our budget. It's going to come out of vegetation management's budget. We may have someone go out and just make sure that the trails are blown off, but it's literally a quarter a mile, maybe half a mile away from Little Creek. You're looking at a minimal amount of time there. We will work with the family to help us keep some eyes on the park until we're able to get a police officer or a firefighter or someone out there. But I would adjust the CARF and a resolution that's been presented to you today saying that it was accepted by the Recreation and Parks Commission. But I would have a conversation with with my superiors to figure out whether or not they still wanted me to take this item to city council for approval. I could still bring back the easement with the restrictions. I would kind of refer to them as the restrictions on the property, because there isn't an easement that runs through the property. And maybe the easement is a legal term to describe those restrictions. I believe that's what the case is. But we have never, at this stage of a land acquisition, presented those types of legal documents for the commission or city council to review. They've always believed that the city attorney's office and the Recreation and Parks Department and the real estate division are going to do what they need to do to make sure that what city council and the commission approves is in fact what's in that document. And it doesn't leave the city until all of that has been checked off on, not only by myself, by the city attorney's office and the real estate administrator.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
I guess I have to make a motion to continue the discussion of the Hauser property donation and the discussion about the budget to a date to be determined today by the commission, so that the department can get the budgetary numbers that were raised by Joe Cassidy and the language to be placed in the Forsyth land records with respect to the conservation requirements for the Hauser property.
Hey, William, if we basically push this off another, maybe a month, maybe we can get a special meeting. Is that going to cause any particular difficulties?
Yes, we can't meet in July. There's no way that me or my staff can meet in July. I already know that I won't be here in July. I haven't taken a vacation in 2 years. I'm going to take some time off because I feel that my body is starting to feel the effects of just not getting enough rest. It would have to go in August or even September. It will be the earliest that it could come back for approval by the commission, if the commission wants to approve it before it goes to city council. City council doesn't meet in July, and that because they don't meet in July, the August agenda is usually full of extremely high priority, high profile, high priority items, and it's one of the biggest meetings that they have during the calendar year. The family, the Hauser family is on track to move forward with their documents. I understand the commission's place. However, with all due respect, Chair, I don't necessarily agree with it, but we will do what you ask us to do.
Okay, so Bob Hartwell made this motion to defer this to approval until they get more information. Is there anyone that wants to second that? Okay, so there's no one that seconded it. So I guess that motion then just dies, is that right, Felicia?
Yeah, that died.
Okay,
That is correct if there's not a second.
does anybody want, so I guess the other option here is we can make a motion to approve and see where we are on that.
I believe since we're virtual though, we would have to go through and do a roll call and see if anybody seconds,
Okay,
just to make sure that everybody is understanding.
If we're seconding a motion to approve, then I would like to second a motion to approve. This is Mashika.
Okay. Well, right now we're gonna see if anybody seconds the motion that Bob made to table the discussion until a future meeting and to get some more information. So I'm gonna do that one first, and then if somebody wants to make a motion to approve, we can do that next. So just to be clear, this is a motion to support a second to support Bob's motion. So John Gunkel,
I do not support that.
okay. Sean Hawkins. Sean, can you hear me? Sean?
I don't think he was on the call.
No, he is.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he can hear me though. Okay, so we'll come back to him. John France is not with us. Barb Hartwell, we know that you support it. You made the motion. George Peterson?
I don't, with the caveat that I do, however, understand what the questions were, and I think it would be nice to get those answers soon.
Okay. All right. Mashika?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. And Joe?
Abstain.
You abstain, I'm sorry? Is that what you said?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that motion does not move forward. So like I said, if somebody wanted to make a different motion, they're welcome to do so.
Is there a motion to approve the acquisition of the land?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the acquisition of the land. This is Mashika.
Thank you, Mashika.
And I'll second that motion.
Was that Sean?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we'll do a roll
Alicia,
call.
can you read the resolution at which we're voting on?
Yes, so this is the approval of the acceptance of the donation of property on Jonestown Road from the Jack Eugene Hauser heirs and the granting of the conservation easement to the Piedmont Land Conservation. And this is located in the Southwest Ward. So we had Sean second and Mashika make the motion. So now we're going to do a roll call vote. So if you are in favor of approving the acceptance of the land, let us know. John Gunkel?
I approve and assume that the legal department is going to write in the restrictions so that they're solid.
Okay. Great. Sean?
Yes.
Thank you. Bob Hartwell?
Abstain.
Okay. George Peterson?
Approve.
Mashika?
Approve.
Okay. Joe?
Abstain.
Okay. So we have 2 abstaining and 2 approving. So it is at a tie right now.
There were 3 approving.
We have
It was
4.
me, George,
Oh, sorry.
and
Yes.
Mika.
You are correct. Actually, there's 4 and 2. I'm sorry. There was, you are correct. Okay, so the motion does carry. Because we have 4 approving and 2 abstaining. So you are correct.
I will bring back the language. I know this meeting's being recorded. We won't record the close on the property until you've had an opportunity to look at the language. It's going to be very, very basic language, but until you have an opportunity to look at the language that's going to be recorded with the closing of the property. This isn't atypical. This is a pretty standard process. But the good thing is that because we aren't developing it for active recreational use, it's only the building structures, from what we've been told, are in pretty good shape. Until I have an architect kind of go out and take a look at those and tell us what we need to do to get it to our standards. Other than that, there's going to be very, very little, very few resources from our department that are directed here. We see this as a revenue generator with weddings and providing outdoor recreation opportunities out there on that side of town where we have very few. But I'll make sure that I bring that document back in front of the commission for you to look at it before we close.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, Chair.
So we got 10 more minutes, so I guess we can move on to the updates and information.
I'll go ahead if that's okay with everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a couple of updates from special facilities. We will continue our golf competition season. A couple of weeks ago, we did our senior event, was well attended. This month, we have the juniors. Next month, we have the ladies event. And then finally, in August, we have the Forsyth itself. 75 years the tournament's been going this year. So tremendous achievement. We did welcome a new tennis contractor, a Joe White Tennis Center that Bender is Serve First Tennis. Just working with them to grow the game of tennis and pickleball. Across the city, we have 112 tennis courts. So we get into the neighborhoods, do some youth programming. So they made a good start over there.
Oh. There he comes. Greg, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I lost my internet for 1 second. We had Highland Games return to historic Bethesda on May 7th. It was a little wet, but we did have a good turnout with that. It's great to see that come back again. And then finally, we're going to have summer camps at historic Bethesda and Salem Lake, and Camp Discovery, which is our camp that works with people with disability over there at Laurel Creek. So thank you.
And I can jump in real quick and go awfully fast for you guys. A couple of big things that we've had go on in recreation centers. Carl Russell, if you have not been out there, is now open to the public. And I saw a couple of you out there for the ribbon cutting. If you haven't had an opportunity to go by, please do. Everybody's done a great job working on it. It looks great. We're happy to have that back open to the community. We have our Real Reading program, which is our literacy initiative for 3 to 5 year olds that's starting back up at outdoors. So that will be at Winston Square Park on June 18th, and we are celebrating dads. So please come out. We will have donuts for the dads. So if you want to come grab a donut, Felicia's going to share all these flyers at the end of the meeting. So if you have questions about them as you're looking over, feel free to reach out to us. Our summer camps, it is definitely summertime in recreational parks. We will begin on Tuesday, June 21st. We are at 90% full of all of our camps. We've also developed teen camps this year. We've got 2 that are full and 1 more that is about to become full. So we've done really well with that. Purpose of the teen camps is we're looking at developing life skills, community service, service hours. We're going to bring in guest speakers, do some field trips. Things are going to be relative to them and also build their resumes for when they start to go to college. The last thing that I have real quick is we have been focusing on bringing kids out into our parks. We are targeting locations to do programming at locations that typically we don't have any recreation access to. So we've got an event called Rec and Roll, and we also did one called National Kids the Park Day. All those events, we've had over 100 people, a lot of success with that. So really proud of the team, all the hard work they've done.
Renata, would you like to give some updates?
Yes, just a few updates for maintenance. Just to piggyback a little bit on Leah, I know we opened up Carl Russell, but also this past weekend, we opened up Winston Lake #2. Great turnout over there. Winston Lake looked great. Out visiting today, lots and lots of fishermen out there on the pier. So that park is picking up and is back open to the public. Also, just a few other things. Rupert Bell, we actually went out there and updated the baseball field. We're partnering with the Winston-Salem Police Foundation for a youth baseball league. We have actually finished that particular park with installation of new fencing, redid the fields and things, dugouts, things of that nature. So I think their first game is somewhere within the next 5 days coming up this weekend. So they will be doing that. Also some updates, Haynes Hosiery, I think within the next 5 to 10 days will be complete, putting in a new design on the floor out there. So those are some of the things we have in the process there. But then we also have other projects that's on the horizon that are out for bid, such as updates for Nelson Malloy Park, coming in, doing new gym renovations for Minnie Lee Davis Harris. Also looking at updates for Harambe Park. We're putting out some things to come in on Bowen Boulevard and do some things back there with the actual fitness station and the walking trail back there, and as well as taking another look at Carl Russell as far as updating and looking at the walking trail there.
John,
Yes, sir.
excuse me. I know I've been painful today, but I have two questions on, so I guess belong in the maintenance category if it is appropriate now.
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. We've had lots of promises about completion of Long Creek. I was there and there's definitely some things to be done. Does anybody have a completion date that's somewhat firm about that place? Because we're getting into summer and we've already lost 2 years there. And I just, so when is that going to be finished?
Currently at this time, Long Creek, they have finished the paving on the front end of the park. The pool house has been put up. They're finishing up the shelter. My understanding from our last OAC meeting, they're looking at an estimated date at the end of July for completion out there for that particular project.
Okay. So there's no use of it until the end of July?
Yes, and at that time, we will work with staff in regards to reopening the pool.
Okay, because generally the pool only lasts till about the middle of August.
Mhm.
So we've essentially lost another year is what's happened. My second question is, a commitment was made to Councilman McIntosh 2 or 3 months ago. I was in Florida in April, and it happened before I left, that we would repair this damage at Old Town, where they missed a significant part of the drainage project when it was done. That was to have been corrected. I was over there the other day. The only thing that's happened is more damage. Where does that stand? Getting them back there to finish the job?
Based on my understanding, they said they had went back there and completed that, and we supposed to be doing walkthrough, I will say within the next week on the Old Town drainage project.
They completed it?
Based on what they had in their scope. Yes, sir.
No. You're missing it. They're supposed to go back and repair the parts they missed. That has not been done. This was a clear issue that I know Jeff McIntosh and I raised it, and I thought I was specifically just discussed with the department. There's not a walkthrough in it. They have not finished the job, I can tell you, and there's more erosion because of it.
Okay, so when we do the walkthrough, we will take a look at that and I will know for sure. But based on my last OAC meeting, they were looking at trying to do a walkthrough soon.
Well, I'm going to have to get back with city council because it sounds to me like that got lost.
Okay.
It's simply not finished. And there's more erosion and more damage every time we have a storm. So a walkthrough is kind of inappropriate unless you're willing to walk through and see where the problem is.
And that could be some of the outcome that comes out. when we as staff go out there and actually take that outlook and take that walkthrough with them.
Okay, make sure they walk through what they've got to do, because it's pretty obvious that something got seriously missed.
Okay,
I'll put that as a note to update at the next commission meeting.
great, thank you, Felicia. Okay, it's, we're approaching 1 o'clock here. Is there anything else that anybody needs to raise? If not, we will close this meeting out then. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved, George.
Seconded by
Thank
Joe.
you.
All right, sounds good.
And just a reminder, we will not be meeting in July. So everyone have a great summer. I will send out an email just reminding everybody once again as it gets closer. Our next meeting will be in August, and that will be, looks like August 2nd will be our next Recreation Parks Commission meeting. Okay, so I hope
All right,
everyone
thank you,
has a great
Felicia.
summer. You're welcome. Hope everybody has a great summer. Be safe.
You too.
You too, Leo.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.